Welcome to Why Though the Podcast.
We did it!
Baby!
Hello, Destiny Johnson!
Hello, Lizzy Acker. We're in person.
OMG, we're
happening.
here.
We're here.
We're in the same place.
I'm touching her.
Oh my
it's happening.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see
It's
you.
been far too long.
I know.
Like, who do we think we are?
I don't know.
Vacations,
I mean, you're
trips.
leaving me again, so.
That's true. I was just like, Destiny, I'm going to see the total solar eclipse in Texas.
Mhm.
So I'm going to see the total solar eclipse in
That's
2 weeks.
very cool.
In Texas, yeah.
I remember I was working in Jacksonville, Florida, the last time I can remember one happening, and I went to a school, and the kids were like, we all went out to watch it with the kids. You know, I was working in news, and I was covering like how a local school was covering it. And it
Was it
so
totality
fun.
or was it?
I think it was. I think it was the last, unless I'm
Well,
mistaken, or maybe it was like very close.
Yeah, because you'd know if it was totality.
Yeah,
and
I
that,
don't
like, it
remember.
becomes dark. You would remember.
Yeah, I think it was almost, not quite.
How they describe it,
We had to get the fancy glasses.
which
and everything.
is a bit vulgar, is that like almost 99.9% is like prom night, and this is so dirty. I feel like someone in this office told me this. And totality is like your wedding night.
Okay.
Or maybe like it's even like even more like it's like a kiss versus your wedding. Like
okay.
this is so
Like one is cool and the other is really cool.
one is like mind blowing.
yeah.
It
It happened once when I was a child. Totality.
Yeah, okay.
I remember we stayed home from school.
Yeah.
In fact, it was like a whole thing. And we watched it happen. It was wild.
It's amazing. So yeah, in 2017. Actually, welcome to Why Though the Podcast.
Welcome to Why Though the Podcast.
We'll talk about the eclipse one sec.
Mhm.
But this is a podcast about my advice column, and also just me and Destiny Johnson just jibber jabbering.
Yeah, you can read Lizzy's advice column, which she publishes every week on Tuesdays at OregonLive.com/whytho, WHYTHO. It's the cool spelling, and get some advice for your life. You can also see old episodes of this very podcast, which you can watch on YouTube or embedded within the posts, or you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Let our voices kiss your little ears.
Yes, and you'll see Destiny wearing something cool, and me wearing the same thing that I always wear.
It's true, I have a cool belt. I don't know if you can see it.
Very cool. I
It's
tried to put on a different shirt today, and
modeled after old Victorian jewelry. They were into hands for some
love it.
reason.
I am wearing my running shoes because I forgot my other shoes. Anyway,
Her running shoes that were a treat because she has been running.
I've
and she
been
ran a
running, and
marathon,
I've
if you
got
remember.
a 5K.
I mean, that's marathon enough for me. It was a marathon getting from my bed to my bathroom this morning, so.
I love that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in 2017,
I think this is when I went to the school.
okay, so that's
Yeah.
when there was a total eclipse in Oregon, and it
Oh,
didn't
so we
didn't make
we
it.
didn't
Yeah,
see,
you probably it didn't
whole
make
thing.
it. It wasn't in Portland. It wasn't totality in Portland,
Mhm.
but the Oregonian sent people everywhere throughout the state.
Yeah, I heard about it.
And I went to Central Oregon, and obviously this was 2017 before my child was born.
Mhm.
I think I got married in 2017. I'm not sure if I was married
cool.
yet, but I went by myself. Actually, I
Mhm.
was supposed to have a photographer go with me, but then the photographer went to a different thing, so I was
Sure.
totally by myself. And before we went, I remember our coworker Jamie Hale. He's the best. He was telling he's the only person who on staff had actually seen a total eclipse.
Oh, very cool.
So he was telling everyone, like, get all your stuff together, be ready, because you don't know what's going to happen when totality hits. Like, you do not know. You might start crying. And I was like,
I remember it felt weird as a
yeah,
kid.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I started sobbing. I mean,
Wow.
it was like one of those things. I'm going to put it on the level of having a child,
Yeah.
experiencing the death, like being with someone when they die.
Yeah.
Like these kind of experiences that sort of like crack open your understanding of what it means to be a human being.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, damn. Like
Yeah.
it's bigger than I thought.
It's really amazing. I won't put it on the same level, but
Mhm.
I remember the first time I went to, we have a huge dark sky sanctuary. In fact,
Mhm.
this is just new news.
Oh yeah.
Here in Oregon, we have a huge dark sky sanctuary here in Oregon, but I'm from Florida,
Mhm.
and you have to go really, I mean, I'm from the boonies. You have to go boonier than my
Right.
boonies to get, completely dark sky. And
Mhm.
I was in the astronomy club in high school because a boy that I liked was in the club.
That's why we all join clubs.
Yeah, I mean, I was into, I was
Right,
also
yeah.
into that stuff, but like, I probably wouldn't have joined if he wasn't in it. But
It's called
anyway.
high school.
Mhm, yeah, absolutely. And we went out to basically these 4 hobby astronomers live butted up against each other,
Mhm.
and they have huge telescopes, like the kind that have the dome that peel
Whoa,
back. Yeah, it
cool.
was so cool. but I'd never been somewhere where you could see the bands of the Milky Way.
Oh my God,
and
it's
I remember
amazing.
feeling like so. Yeah, I felt like that.
The computer's like, I get it, Destiny.
Yeah, the computer just made the ta-da noise. That's exactly how I felt. But I would say that's probably less.
Oh, it is
how,
less,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it is.
absolutely.
But that's on the same.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's
Where it's
like,
just like you
yeah,
can't.
I remember the first time I saw that
you can't
too.
just think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to experience.
It's like
it.
we're not. I don't
We're
know.
just
It's
little
just,
dots
we're
on a
little
little dot.
dots, but there's something about it. They're like, we're little dots. We're totally insignificant, and there's something totally mind-blowingly beautiful about that.
Yeah, and there's also like the idea that like there are things that are out of our control, but not all of it is bad.
Right.
A lot of it is great.
Yeah, and it also like made you feel like some sort of deeper connection with, for me, like all of humanity that's come before us. Where, because sometimes I'm like, I don't understand
This
how they
had
could
to have been
believe these
amazing to the
wild
first
things.
people,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
Anyone witnessing this would be like, this is God. You know,
Yeah, and
I
also
don't
like,
believe
yeah,
in
here's
God,
the end times.
but like, but
or anything.
like, it is still miraculous.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to believe in God to believe in the fact that we don't know anything, that we're insignificant tiny dots in the middle of infinite universe. And that's amazing that we exist at all, you know. And that, I don't know, sorry, this is really going off track, but it's amazing, and I'm gonna go.
Yes,
to Texas
well,
and take my child and my husband and my mom and my dad are coming. So
that's
my
really
grandpa, R.I.P., was an eclipse chaser.
Wow,
and
okay.
he's been dead for he died when I was like 21. I'm 41, so 20 years.
Yeah.
It's okay. He was what
an amazing hobby. Very
amazing
cool
hobby.
Sounds like a cool guy.
I'm not gonna go that far.
Oh, okay. He had a cool hobby.
He had a cool hobby,
Sure.
and he was a controversial figure
Sure,
in
yeah,
my
yeah,
family.
yeah.
Let me say that.
Yeah.
He had some problems. Okay.
Sure.
He was, a man in that time and a bit of a misogynist. Got mad at me when I told him he should stop smoking cigars when I was 8 and didn't really talk to me for years.
Yeah.
Anyway, that kind of.
But he had a cool hobby.
And I never ever went with him to an eclipse. But he took my mom when she was young, and he took my grandma many times. And my grandma was still alive in 2017 when I saw the eclipse. And to both of them, I was like, "What?
Why didn't you ever tell me?
Why didn't you guys tell me about this?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's really cool." So my mom and dad, who are totally opposed to fossil fuel use, are actually flying with us to Texas to see my uncle, who is also my grandpa's child.
Okay.
So he has all my grandpa's like telescopes and stuff.
He lives in Texas.
He lives in Texas.
Okay.
He lives very close to the path of totality. We're gonna actually have to drive to get to it, but anyway, I'm so excited, and it's gonna be an absolute scene.
I'm really
mayhem.
Thrilled for you, but I'm more thrilled for us, because if you didn't know this, Lizzy is a great writer. She doesn't just give advice, so I'm excited to see what you have to write about it, because I won't be there.
I will write about it. That's a good idea, because I wrote about the last eclipse. I should put that somewhere.
I would love to see like a little Lizzy's take.
Yeah, I should
pitch that to Grant.
I will. It's like that's a great idea.
And I would
Thanks,
love
Destiny.
a quote from your 4-year-old daughter.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
yes. She's not thrilled that we're going, to be fair. She doesn't understand it. And same with my husband, whatever his name is.
This mystery figure.
they're kind of like, oh, really?
They'll
get it
on
though.
board,
They'll get it.
Yeah. Talking
Anyway.
back about the conundrum of God.
Oh yes, God.
It kind of loops into
I
the
love
question
this.
that we have
Great
today.
Great segue.
Yeah. But not super. Oh, and before we get off this topic completely, you should read Astrophysics. I think it's called Astrophysics for Lazy People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
It talks about somebody who is basically like a star phenomenon hunter, and they were just like an amateur, and they found something amazing. And it sort of frames the idea of softball pitching you some astrophysics from that standpoint.
Yeah.
It's very
cool. Cool. I love it.
Anyway, we have a great question today for Lizzy to give some actual advice on. She's actually already written about this, right?
I have, actually. It'll come out today. So today's Tuesday. Right. This podcast is going to come out on Thursday, but my column, we're kind of on a weird schedule right now where we're talking about the questions I've already written about, which is okay. And we'll probably get back on the other way. Who knows? But I wanted to talk about this one today and write about it this week because it's very timely.
It's very timely. So this letter writer says, "Dear Lizzy, is it considered rude to attend a community egg hunt advertised as, quote, open to all, end quote, hosted at a neighborhood church but not the service? I do not wish to offend any church organizers on their important Easter holiday. Should I just take my kid to a spring party hosted by a farm or realtor association? Thanks for your advice and happy spring. Signed, Just Looking for Eggs."
I want to also say this question came in my anonymous question form. So if you have an anonymous question, you have a question you want to send me, send it here. It'll be in the description. I thought this was interesting and kind of like I have my take, and then I actually reached out to a couple coworkers who have different. Well, actually, their take were similar to mine, but I am coming at this as a person who has never been religious, has never been a church goer. Yeah, so never. My parents, both of their parents, were not religious. So I have no even great grandparents. My great grandparents, maybe a couple of them were raised in the Catholic Church, a couple raised Jewish. I mean, my grandpa was raised Jewish, grandma raised Catholic, but the Catholic grandparents and the Jewish grandparent left the church as kids, or the synagogue. I don't know what you say. Yeah. Left the faith as kids. My other grandma, her mom was like a Unitarian, so like really non-religious. All I'm saying is that I did not go to church with my family. I've been to church lots of times because I dated a Catholic boy in high school and really wanted to understand what's going on with him. I went to a Catholic school. So you joined the astronomy club, but the astronomy club was God. Exactly. I was like, what is this? Can I believe in God? Can I make myself? And I also went to a Catholic church when I was in exchange to Catholic school. Right. When I was an exchange student. But really made me think of the time when I was like 4, when there was a vacation Bible school outside the window of my apartment complex, and they were giving away toys, and we begged my mom to let us go. We got the toy, and then the next day you only get toys the first day, so we stopped going.
So I grew up in vacation Bible school. Okay. I grew up Methodist.
Ooh, interesting.
So I grew up in the South, as mentioned.
Ooh, yeah.
I've seen people fall over in fits of speaking in tongues. Wow. I've been in completely wooden church rooms with no AC, where the preacher's just screaming, sweat dripping down his face, like full vein in his head pulsing. I have a little bit of a weird religious background. My parents aren't religious, but my Nana is.
Yeah, so you were like...
And when I was in it, there was a time... I mean, I was a child with anxiety, so I really clung on to that. And then at the point where I was like so concerned that my parents were going to go to hell, that I like came home crying. They were like, you can't go to church anymore.
And we're done.
Yeah.
I guess
so we have different backgrounds.
Yeah, we have different backgrounds, but I guess what I was going to say to this is that you can do whatever you want. You can go to church. You can go to any church, pretty much. I mean, I think you should be respectful when you go to a church. But also church activities like this, like an Easter egg hunt or whatever, are really like, they are community events that are focused in some sense on getting people to come to church. So you can go to the Easter egg hunt. Do not be surprised if people start talking to you, want you to fill out a card with your address and your name, and they want you to come to church. I mean, that's what there's a strong likelihood that people will proselytize to you.
I think it depends on the type of church, for sure. So like I would say that the church that I grew up in, a lot of community-based events. So we did like luncheons and stuff, like, like dinners, and gave food out and stuff like that pretty often. And some, I don't know what would differentiate the events. Some events we would try and get people to join the church, and other events not so much. And I was like a kid, so I wasn't like super involved in that, obviously. But the church is a community-based organization, right? Like, they often don't just house people who are there to praise God. Like, they're often tout themselves as like safe spaces for all people. Right. At least the chill ones do. So if this is a chill church,
and I guess I'm assuming it's in Oregon, but honestly, my column is in multiple places.
She's syndicated now. If the church is chill, like, just go. And church people are nice. Go. I don't believe in God anymore. I don't go to church, but like, I would go to a church community event. But yeah, you can't be offended if they start talking about God to you.
And you need to be respectful, because in the Christian religion, Easter is about Jesus Christ being resurrected, and it's a big deal for them. Yeah. It's kind of their biggest deal.
Zombie Jesus
holiday. No offense, but that's Jesus rising from the dead. Is like the whole thing with Christianity, which differentiates it. But last summer I was in Michigan for like a month, and where we were, this little, not that little of a town, kind of a smallish town. Sure. Like, there were so many. There were like festivals all the time. They have a very short summer, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
we gotta get it in.
Yeah.
But we went to a church like barbecue or something. They're just giving away free food. There was bouncy houses and slides for the kids, and there wasn't a single mention of God at that thing. So, and the other thing is, like, lots of churches, I mean, okay, an Easter egg hunt is absolutely something related to Jesus.
Correct.
But there's AA meetings. There's, you know, my Girl Scout troop used to meet at a church. It's a lot of times it's a free community space that people rent out. My kid does a dance class at a church.
I just want to mention that both AA and NA are incredibly religious, and I think we know that, but I'm just letting you know.
Right.
But
okay.
not everything that happens inside of a church is religious.
Yeah, and AA is God based in a sense. Like, you have to, you know, give yourself over to a higher power, but they're not saying it has to be the Christian God. You know,
you just. A lot
or
of
like,
times is,
or like, if you're Catholic, it doesn't have to be the Catholic version of,
right?
You know what I mean? If you're meeting in a Catholic church, they're not going to be like, and which God, which is
it
the three-parted God?
Wafer on your tongue. No.
So, anyway, and I think my coworkers who, you can read the column, but I have two coworkers who grew up in church and one who still attends church, and they were basically like, yeah, you can go. You just need to be respectful, and there is a benefit also, I think, like, to showing your kids that other people have different belief systems and whatever. I'm not like, I don't think it's dangerous to introduce your children to the concept of religion. Like, everyone gets to pick this for themselves. And I think I have a better understanding of my fellow people because my parents, you know, like, another time I went to church frequently. I had one of my best friends growing up was Mormon, and if I spent the night at her house on Saturday night, which I did frequently because it was the fun house to spend the night at, because there were like a million kids and it was fun, I would sometimes go to church with her, which is like a long church service and boring as hell. But I don't think there's a problem. My parents were never like, I went to Young Life because I had a boy. Again, boys are always trying to get you into these things, astronomy, Jesus.
The Mormons really try and use their youngest, most adorable children to come to your door in their little short sleeve shirts and stuff.
I did stop Young Life after they, and a couple churches, you know, there was sometimes the message that Jews were very bad, or it would either be Jews, which I'm, you know, like, ethnically Jewish, and or else atheists. You know, like some, when they were like, these are the worst.
A lot of religions have an enemy, and they will pit the idea of godliness versus whatever enemy it might be.
And when you're
like,
sitting
let's
there,
not be anti-Semitic, you know.
Right, yeah. Or even like say the people who don't believe in God are worse than murderers. I heard that a couple times.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I would leave that church. But you know what I mean? I'm still respectful.
There are still good vibes to be had at a church function like this. There's probably going to be food. There's going to be stuff for the kids. But I think you have to follow the Santa Claus rule. In that your kid might know Santa Claus is real, but they're not allowed to tell other kids. Right? In this case, your kid might not believe in God, but they're not allowed to tell other kids that God isn't real. Right? Like, that's not chill. It's not nice.
Okay, I'm gonna add a caveat to that. At a Easter egg hunt, your children should not be telling other people that God isn't real or Jesus didn't rise from the dead. However, I do think kids on there, you cannot tell your kid, like when I was in elementary school, I would have debates with my friends about religion, and I think that's okay to, like, at a certain point, like, if you believe in God and I don't believe in God, that's some of the only times in my life that I've been able to actually... That's a different...
you can't go into their space.
No, exactly. I'm saying in their space, you don't.
Yeah.
In their space, you don't. On Christmas, you don't.
Critically thinking about religion as a kid
kids can talk about it amongst themselves. I mean, your kid is going to go into the world, and believe me, like, they're going to say anything. And if you're scared that your kid is going to hear from their friends that God isn't real, like, you're not doing it right.
No. I meant specifically
you meant in
by
the Easter eggs.
Yeah,
and I
specifically
agree.
by going into that space, you should be, and that's,
do not wear your shirt that says God isn't real.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's really the only rule that you have to follow, right? Like, is just that. Right. In that space, right? Outside of that space, you can't it's like going to the North Pole, and you know, but like outside of that, you can't keep your kid from telling people that Santa isn't real, and nor should you, because kids need to have these conversations.
And I really think it's there's a benefit in, like, being in a space where you can't just say whatever you want.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
You have to learn
learning about that.
culture,
'Cause,
different
like,
cultures.
yeah, there's lots of places like that. You know, you can't scream in a library. You can't, you know, like we have different rules for the places we go and different ways of being respectful. So, yeah, I don't think there's a problem. But there's also like a lot of other Easter egg hunts that are totally
for sure
like
godless.
I was thinking, what's the word? Secular.
Secular, yeah.
And you know, we celebrate spring and the Easter, the bunny of it all. The bunny of it all, yeah, the egg of it all. Sure. There's lots of options for that. And guess what? We have a list of those on OregonLive.com. And if you go to my column, it's at the bottom there. I will one day again dye eggs, but you know what? Like, I hate hard-boiled eggs, so it seems like such a waste of egg to me.
I'm sorry.
I will eat a deviled egg. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's where I was getting to. Because I was going to say one of the God's greatest creations is a deviled egg.
Oh, I love a deviled egg.
Yeah,
I love a deviled egg.
Then I don't have beef.
Okay.
Hard-boiled eggs are like a little dry. I understand it's not to everybody.
Egg,
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But deviled eggs are...
Oh, yeah. Deviled eggs are heaven sent. Okay, I believe in God from deviled eggs. Sorry.
Just for deviled eggs.
This has been really... I
say that I'm culturally religious, in that I grew up in a very religious atmosphere, at least with my Nana, whom I spent a lot of time with. And I do not believe that there is a white man in the sky who's mad at me because I don't believe in him. But sometimes when I'm stressed, I do pray. So, you know what? Religion is whatever you want.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I was saying, I think like once you see the total solar eclipse, you're like,
nothing matters and everything.
We are not alone, but whatever that means, you know, I don't know what it means. It's all a mystery. I guess I wouldn't even call myself an atheist anymore because I'm like, I guess, you know, agnostic in that it's like, I don't know. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
It's all a mystery. Every single thing, it just seems like a random guess. Yeah. I mean, all I will tell you is that
I got other things to do.
Yeah, like, to me, it's actually irrelevant. What is relevant is like we treat each other well on planet Earth, which is what we know we have, which is what we know we're doing. Like, that's it. That to me doesn't matter. And deviled eggs.
Yeah, deviled eggs too, but hunting eggs as well. I think you'll have fun if you go.
Totally. Happy spring. Fun. I mean, look at outside. There's friggin' daffodils. Love it.
I'm obsessed with them. Well, that was fun.
Well, that was fun.
I'll definitely be eating some deviled eggs because I will be dyeing the eggs, and that's really what I'm in it for.
I will definitely be
killer
hiding
deviled eggs.
Ooh,
I always bring them when I go places. Yeah.
I will be hiding an Easter basket.
Love that.
Because even though I was raised without religion, I am an American. So I celebrate Christmas and I celebrate Easter. I celebrate everything. And I have my Easter basket from when I was a child. And I made...
It's really cute.
This little lock. I got this locket and I put pictures of me and her dad in it. And it's like the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I know she's 4 and won't wear a necklace. I'm like, can I wear this necklace? Even though it has a picture of me in it.
Give it to her. Love that.
Anyway, she will like the chocolate that is involved.
Well, who doesn't? Shout out to Cadbury eggs. Do you have a Smash or Pass?
Oh my gosh, Smash or Pass.
Smash or Pass. We do this little segment where we talk about things that we love, aka things we would smash. Or things that we don't like, things we would pass on.
I'm gonna smash finding... I've been in a bit of a... I don't want to say total reading slump. And we talk about books a lot, but I read The Bee Sting, which I've talked about here a million times, and I loved it so much, and I just haven't gotten back to that, you know. And it's
that can be hard.
It's gonna be hard. That's like one of the best books I've read in years.
Maybe you gotta switch genres.
Well, that's a good idea. But so I have this book club where we didn't actually nobody actually reads the book.
Love that.
But you know, we kind of do whatever. I'm in a couple book clubs. It's like a group of friends, and I was talking to one of the people in the book club about how I loved when I was young, Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. It was a book by Dave Eggers. I read it multiple times and I have it signed twice. I think that's where it came. I was obsessed. I haven't read it in a long time. Don't come at me. It's probably canceled at this point. But it changed how I viewed writing. Anyway, she was like, oh, I love that book too, plus this other book, Bel Canto, which I've never read. It's a book that came out in 2001, and so I'm reading it. It's an Ann Patchett book, really famous, but like, you know how there's all these there's books that came out 20 years ago or whatever that were super famous at the time that like I didn't read. I didn't even know about. Like my husband read it in high school. He's younger than me. And I was like, no, I mean, it wasn't out when I was in high
I
school.
had never heard of either of those books. So
Bel Canto. So I started and I'm loving it.
great.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Out of the slump.
Yeah.
The slump can be hard.
Hopefully this will get me out.
I
think
have
it
a
has.
recommendation of a different genre for
Okay.
you if you can't get out of the slump. It's the book that I always recommend because it got me out of my multi-year non-reading slump
Oh, wow.
after college when I was super burned out.
Yeah.
It's called Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. It's
Okay.
sci-fi
Okay,
fantasy, but
okay.
it's not like fairies and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like basically there's an underworld under London where
Ooh.
people who are like forgotten kind of go.
Oh, wow.
Like basically if and this guy kind of stumbles into it.
Okay, cool.
So it's very interesting. There's also like if you like to listen to books, there's a BBC performance of it that has like Natalie
wow.
Dormer, Benedict Cumberbatch, James
Wow.
McAvoy, and they all play different characters.
Wow.
It's very dynamic to listen
That's
to.
cool.
So
Okay.
it's a good one.
Do you have a smash?
I do have a smash. My smash is video game related, as it sometimes is. There's this game. It's kind of known as like the cozy game. Called Stardew Valley. It's a farming sim. It's created by a small creator called Concerned Ape, and it's been out for about 12 years. But he just released a very large patch, meaning a lot more content. It's called the 1.6 update,
Cool.
and I mean people have played this game for hundreds and hundreds of hours. I think my biggest file probably has about 100 hours on it.
Wow.
And it's very fun. It's very fantastical.
What happens in this game?
There are like no consequences essentially,
Okay.
and that's kind of why it's fun to play. You're a little farmer that's taking over your grandfather's farm. Your grandfather passes away in the beginning of the game. R.I.P. Grandpa.
Well,
And you move into this tiny town, and you can meet all the characters, and you can even like marry some of them. But you basically just like you just try and run your farm from like basically there's a large evil corporation, and you can choose to side with the corporation or you can choose to side with the town. Different things happen based on what you choose, and like you grow the economy of the town. There's not like there's no math or anything involved, but like you can complete things to help restore the town and help out the people. There's like a family that lives in like a trailer. You can build them a home. Like there are all of these choices that you can make. Build your game differently, and you can play this game. I don't know what the math is on it, but probably thousands of different ways.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
I love it.
And it's very like low key. So
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm having a great time playing it. I
That's
wish I
cool.
were playing it right now. Not that I don't want to be hanging out with
Sorry,
you.
I get it. I'm not as fun.
No, it's pretty fun. You're pretty fun. But it's also pretty fun.
I
So,
understand.
yeah.
That's awesome.
It's only out for PC right now. It will come out to the consoles that it's on at some point. They didn't say when.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, pass.
Pass.
I have a pass. I was just thinking about this. So, it's kind of a mixed pass. So, I think I've mentioned the Ezra Klein show on this podcast before. It's a podcast I love. Ezra Klein's got a lot of interesting things to say. And there's an episode like last week about, there've been 2 episodes about fertility and dropping fertility rates and how people aren't having kids. This episode, by the way, my grandma was quoted in it. I don't know if I've mentioned to you that my grandma was R.I.P. also my grandma. All my grandmas are dead. A feminist scholar.
Which one was this? Her name?
Her name is Joan Acker.
Oh, Joan. Okay.
Joan Acker. She coined some term like the ideal worker or something that they talk about. Anyway, love
Cool.
my grandma, and that I was like, oh my God,
That's very
shout
cool.
out to my grandma. But in this podcast, Ezra Klein, like I said, I love him, but he's sort of coming at this idea that dropping fertility rates are inherently a bad thing, and I would like to push back on that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're looking at it from a really isolated point of view.
Yeah, and also like I feel like he's a man and is sometimes absolutely missing the point to me, which is like I think as soon as women gained autonomy over their bodies, and it happens at different times in different places, it hasn't happened everywhere for everybody. They stop having so many kids.
Correct.
Sometimes they have no kids.
Correct.
Because having kids is really, really hard, and having men make value judgments about people based, like, it feels like, I don't know. I just, like, I think you're missing the point. Also, like, we don't need a lot more people. The woman on this podcast actually makes a great point. She's like, look, I'm not actually, because he's like, how can we ever convince people to start having more kids with policy? And she's like, I don't think we should. And I'm like, I agree with that. People don't. Like,
well, posing the idea of making people have more kids with policy is
terrifying.
Wow.
It's bad. He brings
That's a
up
sentence to come out of
Romania,
somebody's mouth.
where like people were basically forced to have children, and there's a huge number of non-orphans living on the streets because they had too many children. Jeez. Nobody should be forced to have children. So I feel like he's kind of missing that point. And anyway, I don't know what I'm saying here, except that like,
bad take.
I don't know. Looking at the fertility rate in that way to me just seems wrong. I think like women gaining autonomy over their bodies is a good thing. Having the number of children they want is a good thing. And there's reasons we don't have 10 children anymore, or even 3, some of us, or even 2, some of us, or even 1, some of us, because it's really hard.
And very expensive.
And you know what? We have enough kids. Like, I don't think the economy's going to fail. Like, we just need to let more people into the country. The end. Okay. Do you have a pass?
Yeah, no, that was a good one. I mean, I do have a pass, but
okay.
It's not as serious.
Okay,
as that.
That's good. We need something to end this on a lighter note.
My pass is, it's a very specific thing, but I'm just going to mention it to see if anybody else has a problem. So we got a Brita filter.
I'm already happy about this. Okay.
We got a Brita filter because my roommate saw the inside of the pipe where the water comes out, and she was like, we need a Brita filter.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm from Florida. The water that used to come out of the tap at my friend's house was frothy and gray. So it takes a lot to like really scare me, you know? Yeah. When I moved here, I did one Google search about whether or not the tap water was drinkable. It said yes, so I've been drinking it ever since, and I won't look back. Tastes great, looks fine. But we got this Brita filter, and fine, I'll drink out of the Brita filter. However, last night, I filled up the Brita filter like normal, and then in fact I drank all of my water before I went to bed, so I put just like maybe a cup in the bottom because sometimes I wake up with a little bit of dry mouth. And when I got up this morning, so a full 8-9 hours later, my roommate was like, yeah, I'll do the dishes today, and there's something growing in the Brita filter. I said,
no.
What?
Ew.
So I went out to look at the Brita filter. There's like a something green. It's along the edge. It looks like algae, like maybe that would grow. But I'm like, when did I? Because I put the cup of water in my cup with ice just for some nighttime sips.
If you're okay now, you're fine. But
no, I know. But I was like, was it? Because I did it in the dark. So I was like, was it in there last night? Yeah. Should we drink out of this? Why isn't the Brita filter filtering this out? I have a lot of questions. We now have to keep the Brita filter wasn't in the fridge. It's gonna go in the fridge now.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna clean whatever is in it. But like, shouldn't it? I'm gonna pass on that.
That's weird because I don't think like. I've left cups of water out for days and there's nothing green growing in them.
That's what I'm saying. Same.
And also Portland does have really good water. And just FYI, you can go to like Portland City website. You can order like water test kits and they'll test your water for you for certain things.
Yeah, maybe I should also, I need to like, make a bleach water solution and really sanitize this thing. You should
definitely clean that. Yeah. But like if you, like generally, there's obviously stuff in everybody's water, but I think Portland has really good water.
It does. It's very soft. It tastes great.
I love it. Yeah. And when you go to another place, you're like,
literally.
This isn't water.
I went back to Florida and my hair looked like crap. I was only there for like a week and a half because the water's so hard.
Have you ever been to Las Vegas?
No.
Some of the worst water. You cannot drink the water out of the tap. It's disgusting. Anyway.
Yeah, we couldn't drink the water out of the tap in Florida either, but anyway, so that's my pass. I don't know what's growing in my Brita filter, but I'm not into it.
I don't know what's growing in my Brita filter.
Unsure. I might pivot and give it a name, but not yet. So.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, I think we did a lot of advising today, as well as just really getting into some really serious issues.
Thank you for advising us, Lizzy.
Yeah, and thank you for being here. I'm so glad to see
it's
you
my pleasure.
IRL. Bye.
Bye.